G'day guys, Adam Grocke from Johnston Grocke here with Dan Levy, the guru, I think after the session we just had.
Ninja. I told you
Ninja, sorry,
ninja.
Ninja. We've just run our beer and business session, which was fantastic, and it was all around innovation. And so what I wanted to do is, in this video, is really just talk about not so much why you have to innovate, because everyone knows that, okay, look, we have to innovate, we have to change, because the world's just moving at exponential pace at the moment. But probably how to innovate. And I think that's the thing that businesses get stuck on is, what do I actually have to do?
Okay, that was a question,
Well,
wasn't it?
I think, well, it's a statement. I'll lead you into a question. So it was, we were doing this so much better off screen. We nailed it. But so first question. Businesses go, I want to innovate, right? It's very hard to define innovation because it's quite broad. And what I've learned from innovation is that if you can apply a process or a framework to innovation, you actually get a better result.
That is one of the things, absolutely. I think also knowing what the result is and making sure that it relates back to what the overall business strategy is. Make sure that it's not working in isolation of the overall business strategy of the business's objectives, and that way there's buy-in from stakeholder level, because there's nothing worse than having a team go off and do whatever they need to do under the buy-in of a program manager or project manager and not relating back to the business strategy. The overall business strategy provides that air cover, and by saying air cover, it has execs that are sitting there that have bought into it, that understand that it's a longer process, that understand the areas, the new areas that you're trying to open up, or the existing areas that you're trying to rejuvenate.
Yep. So let's put that in perspective. So you're a South Australian business, you're sitting there, let's say you've got turnover of say 3 or 4 mil, and all of a sudden you're going, okay, cool, we need to look forward because you've made a business strategy decision to go, we need to look forward and make sure we're still relevant in 5 years' time. What's the first process that, what's the first step that they should be considering to start the journey of innovation?
Well, so they've got to start by looking inwards. They have to figure out what is that overall company strategy, what are they trying to achieve, what is that North Star, what's going on in their category, like what's happening there, especially what the insights and the questions that are being asked and challenged within the category, as well as within the startup space, what these other companies that are coming in and potentially disrupting them. What does the consumer want? Where are their needs not being met? And also, what is the channel? How's the best way to get to people?
Yeah, and quite often people forget what the consumers want, right? Because they design it about what's going to be best for me as a business.
Well, it's funny, Adam, because they either invest too heavily in the user and the customer, and the business doesn't have the framework, the capabilities in place to support that, or they don't at all. In which case, they just work in isolation, and when they do produce something, it's not relevant to what the consumer needs.
Yeah, and how important is consumer feedback through the innovation process?
It's absolutely essential at every level. If you can work fast, you can test, learn and validate. And that helps in terms of the bigger picture, because when you try and implement an innovation strategy, it's usually quite a long tail process. So if you can break that down and be able to celebrate and acknowledge those milestones, you can see that progress.
Now, we just ran a session here, a workshop, which was fantastic. The feedback was outstanding, and a credit to you, because it was a great exercise on what is sometimes perceived as such a simple process, and the process was how to make a Milo, so the drink Milo, and we gave that to teams, and then the teams went out and they had to define individually, to start with, what is their 7-step process to making a Milo. And then what they did is they came together and they started to audit and refine,
synthesize all that data. So they basically went for a process, even though they didn't really know. It was a bit of a Trojan horse. So they came up with what they believed the solution was. We then asked them to let that go, almost like kill their darlings, and take a step back from that, and then listen to other people and work together to get rid of the inefficiencies and optimize that process. So it was optimization innovation within their current existing framework.
And amongst the three teams, it was quite interesting to see three completely different processes as well. Different in the level of detail, different in the number of steps, which step comes before the other one. Do you heat the milk, do you not heat the milk?
What that actual goal was, whether it was to taste, whether it was the process, whether it was hot or cold, like what was that key metric they were looking for? Yeah,
absolutely. So I think one key thing that I learned from that process that we just ran, collaboration's a big one. You need to bring a number of different, probably engaged stakeholders to the process, collaborate, get the different perspective. The second one is start with the current state and document the current state first, because that at least gives you a base for innovation, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
And then you can pick at the gaps and the improvements. Once you get to the stage of you go, okay, these are the things I need to focus on improving. What's the next step for actually executing on that? What's some advice you can give businesses so that they don't fall into the downward spiral of it's all too much, it's all too hard, I won't do anything?
So a number of things. So especially when it's brand new for an organisation, we always suggest look for the thing where you can demonstrate that easy win early, because if you can get buy-in from people that are skeptic, you will get that opportunity to start scaling your innovation strategy. So don't go for the biggest chunk of the apple, or don't try and eat the apple whole. Terrible two analogies put together in a different order. Try and look for that easy win. Make that competitive field, so you can see that goal and you can score that goal, and then start scaling up your approach. Also, make sure you have those capabilities, because you can see where within your business you can't, you are hindered because you don't have the people or the resources in place.
Absolutely. Mate, thank you very much for running the session. It was fantastic. Our Beers and Business is run every third Tuesday night. Fantastic turnout today. And
did anybody's...
Oh, their head went... On that note, it's a wrap. Thank you very much, mate. Cheers.